All right. What's going on, everyone? So, let me fill you guys in a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, I know, late. This time I have a very good reason. Not that I don't normally have a really good reason, but this time I've had quite a day. And it's actually still ongoing. So, heads up, the stream is going to have to be shorter than usual. Because a lot of stuff I had to do earlier today got fucked up because some shit came up. So, very specifically, what's going on right now is my car has been stolen. I swear to God that my car has gone through in the last few months, like, quite well. The first time I don't think I filled you guys in that much, but the first time it had to be put in the shop for like a month. That was fine. I had insurance and stuff. Got a rental car for a bit. I think I told you guys about that one a little bit. Right now, it is stolen. It is missing. It is literally gone. This has been a fucking pain in the ass. I think it will be, I don't know. I think it will be okay because there is there's a tracking thing installed, but I don't want to share too much about that. So hopefully it's fine, but I found out about that after I gave the police report, because we bought it when we actually picked up the car. I don't know how much I want to go into detail here, but let's just say I had it yesterday night at around 8 p.m., 9 p.m. And now it's basically, like, I stepped outside for the first time today to go get groceries around 4 p.m. And the car's gone. So then I had to go through the whole thing of basically checking with my apartment complex. They don't have any clue because for them, they didn't get anything towed or anything like that. There are normally no car thefts at all. Like, I'm the first person to fucking report it at my apartment complex. So kind of annoyed about that. I'm like, well, it would be nice at least if other people's cars were getting stolen, but no. It's just mine. So that kind of sucked. Then went through the whole thing of calling the police. The police have their own, they don't, it wasn't the most reassuring situation because then you call the police, you file the information, then the police come to your door, you give them the same exact information, they just ask a few more questions. It's kind of funny. They showed up. I was like, okay, let me be like super nice to them. So I invited them, like it was 3 police officers. I invited them in because it's hot outside. And they seemed to appreciate that. But once I invited them in, I was like, wait, but I don't want them to wear their shoes. I don't want them walking around with their shoes inside. And I was like, is it rude for me to tell these police officers to take off their shoes? And that was just something I was thinking about for like the first 20 seconds that they're asking me questions. I was like, I don't want them wearing these shoes, but they're like fucking police officers in full police gear and stuff like that. I really feel like I feel like the shoes should not be, I feel like I shouldn't be bringing up the shoes situation to them because they were coming in like all serious and stuff like that with like notepads out and shit. Well, one of them had a notepad out. I'm just like, I don't know if the shoe thing was just in my head. I was like, I tell everybody who comes in to take off their shoes. I'm like, if they're police officers, does that just put them like above the law? You know, like the law of my domain, which is no shoes allowed. Like, what's the rules here? I don't know. So that was just a whole, that, I don't know, I'm sharing that with you guys. But that was, number one, the first thing going through my head when the cops are in there. 2, they just took the natural information. There's not a ton of information to give aside from like when it went missing, the car make, model, etc. But I learned some interesting stuff about the police process. Okay, so number 1, this is important information if your car ever gets stolen. So they asked me, if we find the car and we find the guy, do you want to press charges? I said no, because I'm just like, I mostly just want my car back. That guy can do whatever, I don't care. That guy, man, woman, whatever, he can do whatever the fuck they want. I mostly just want my car back. And then they're like, okay, that's fine, but if you don't want to press charges, that means that if we run into your car and the thief is still in the car, like driving it around, then we can't do anything about it. I'm like, what the fuck? They're like, yeah, if you don't want to press charges, I don't know how legit this is, but this is what I was told. They're like, if you don't want to press charges, then if we find the person who has your car and they are physically in the car driving it around, then we can't do anything about it. What? How does that make any fucking sense? So like they know the car is stolen. You're telling me that they could be police officers on the lookout for this car driving around the city. And the guy who stole my car can roll up next to them in my stolen car, roll down the window and be like, hey, what's up? And the officers just have to be like, ah, fuck. If you ever step out of that car, we're going to take it back. And he'll just be like, well, good luck catching me. And he'll drive off and they can't do anything about it. So they're like, if you don't want to press charges, then we can't do anything if the guy is in your car. So then I'm like, well, then it sounds like I want to fucking press charges, huh? They're like, all right. So then now I'm pressing apparently I'm pressing charges against someone I don't even fucking know. Mostly I just want my car back, but I'm pressing charges. I don't know what this means exactly, but it sounds like that's what needs to be done. Otherwise, this guy basically it's like a game of tag, and the safe zone is literally the interior of my car. And if he chooses to be in the interior of my car, then he is safe, and the car is safe. The car is off limits from the officers doing their job. So I have to say I'm going to press charges. So that kind of throws me number one. Apparently I have to press charges against somebody I personally, I don't like the fact that my car is stolen, obviously, but I've got nothing personally against the person who did it. I don't know anything about this person. I don't need to press charges against him, but apparently I am. So I don't know. Number two, they tried to trick me with this because they said it very casual like, all right? They said if a detective finds your car, right? This was after I told them I'm fine pressing charges and stuff, right? So they're like, all right, good shit. If a detective runs into your car, right, and the person driving it, is it okay if the detective doesn't catch them right away, but instead follows them for a little bit to find basically the base of operation, or like if it's, I assume this is why they asked if it's okay if he follows them for a little bit to see where it goes, right? I'm assuming that they're interested if there's, some sort of like black underground, black market car shop thing going on, right? Whether or not that's something that like I'm interested in helping unravel, that went through my head for a second, and I was almost like, yes, I want the detective to follow him. But then I thought about it for a second. I was like, no, I don't care about other people's cars getting stolen. I mostly just want my car back. What if this detective follows this guy, and the guy basically, like, what if the detective loses him instead of trying to catch him on the spot? Or what if the guy immediately, like, sees a detective following him and is like, fuck it, like, let's ditch the car, and then they, like, drive the car off into, like, a street lamp or something and then run off and run away or something. So for a moment I was like, I could uncover some sort of secret, evil, like, underground car theft circle or something like that. But then after that I was just like, no, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So anyway, but they tried to get me with that because they asked it really casual. They're like, oh, and if a detective like happens to see the guy, is it okay if he follows him for a little bit to see where it's going? And I was like, yeah, that sounds good. That's like detective work. And then I thought about it for a bit. I was like, how does this help me at all? Not at all. This is just increasing the chance of my car getting lost forever. So basically where I'm at right now is I have all my information given to them. I was told that I gave them some, it's complicated. I gave them some updated information recently, because turns out there is tracking and shit for the car. So I'm waiting on a call back from, supposedly the officer that took my information is going to contact me again, but they haven't done that for a bit. I'm hoping I get a call back, but very possibly I don't. It's just the way it is. Anyway, that's what's going on with me right now. I'm going to keep the stream short because at the end of the day, my entire day got taken up by My entire day got taken up by the car situation. So for me, there's several things I still have to do. That there's several things I still got to do that I just didn't get done earlier in the day. So yeah, I will have to cut the stream probably a little bit short, but I figured I'll do the stream just for a little bit to fill you guys in, and also just to vent a little bit. Ramen Stains, thanks. Normally I send these with laws in mind, but right now just sending this as support for walking Morj. Thanks, I appreciate it. I am covered with Geico for theft, so worst case scenario, they'll cut me a check. I imagine from what I've read, that's the way that it works. If it's not recovered, but it's still just the headache of it is a pain. Mechlor, thanks for the 5. Hey Morj man, first comment. I had a dream where you asked to see a movie with me, and I'm disgusted that you would do that. We don't know each other. Sorry if I ruined your dream. But yeah. Here's the fucked up thing, though. The police heavily discouraged me from trying to play detective. Because I was like, well, could you guys keep giving me information of what's going on, right? You know, where other spots are like, in my city, spots where carjackings and such have happened, and then, you know, maybe I could borrow a car for a day. And I didn't say this part of it, but in my head I'm like, well, I could probably borrow a car for a day, go around certain areas just holding the car alarm button and seeing if something goes off. But they did not want to disclose that sort of information. I think they saw that I was trying to solve this case myself, and they're like, no, we would rather just take the case for ourselves and maybe solve it, maybe not solve it. Like, who's more invested in solving this case, me or you guys? I think I am, right? Archangel, thanks for the 5. I've been having a draining day, and I'm really surprised that you have the energy to hold the stream. You're a trooper. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I was going back and forth of whether or not I was going to do the stream. I think I concluded I'm just going to do it and keep it short. Just because I'm trying to basically stick to the same streaming schedule, stream Monday and Thursday, barring whatever circumstances. And like, I could have just been like, well, I'm in such a distraught state that I don't want to, that I'm going to call off stream. But I thought about it, I'm like, well, that's not true. I can obviously stream. I'm just extremely annoyed, and I think I'm past. Okay, here's where I'm at. So when you walk out first, right? I have all my notifications on fucking not vibrate, the topmost volume one, just in case, like, I'm not missing a call from this officer, or email or text or whatever the fuck happens. I'm not missing anything. Okay. When you walk outside and your car's just gone, and then you're walking around, and I'm just thinking like, okay, is there any chance I parked it somewhere else? Blah blah blah. You're going around, you have all these thoughts, and then after a bit, you begin feeling this hole in your soul that is like, there's the hole in your soul, which is basically like, well, how much does a car cost? In my mind, the number that was just running through my head was like $10,000. That's what I decided. I don't actually know how much a car costs nowadays. I feel like it's probably more, but that was what was just going through. Like, in my state of walking around in confusion, I was just like, $10,000. I'm missing $10,000 right now. That was going through my head. So when you're walking around feeling like you're missing $10,000, it really, really sucks at first. But then once you've gone through all the procedures, which is just like, you talk to apartment, okay, it's not there. Fuck, that's not good. Talk to the police, they're like, okay, blah, blah, blah. Then you look up some stuff and it's like, okay, there's this percentage of car recovery, blah, blah, blah. Once you go through all the steps, then by the end of it, you're more so just annoyed than anything. Especially once I saw, okay, Geico's probably going to be able to cover whatever happened. But it's just going to be a huge headache of a process. Yeah, you're mostly just annoyed. So when I was like, okay, am I still doing stream or not? I was like, well, I'm just really annoyed. Being annoyed is not a good reason to not stream. You know what I mean? It's not like I could just be like, man, I'm just in such a annoyed mood that I can't talk to people. But that's just not true. I can talk. It also helps to just share the story with people and be annoyed about it. Ryan Chan, thanks for 5. I don't usually donate, but here's something to cheer your day just a little. Thank you. We could start. I appreciate it. We could start talking about One Piece now. Cheapest box is like 15K, but an actual car is 20K. Yeah. The thing is that whatever Geico covers will be less than that, obviously, because it's a used car at this point. All right. Let's talk about One Piece. Let's talk about One Piece. Luke Ty says, if you didn't stream, then the car thief wins. I will make it clear again. The car thief is gonna. Sorry, the car thief. The stream is gonna be shorter than normal. Because I have shit to do. So I was like, I'll just knock out a quickish stream. Like, we can talk One Piece chapter coming out, but at the same time, I saw spoilers coming out for it already, which is. I feel like Read-On is just okay. Someone answer me this: if Read-On didn't exist, then would spoilers be coming out this early? I don't want to be like wishing any sort of ill will towards Read-On, such as, I don't know, his car being stolen or something like that. But like, if he like, let's say that his internet just went out for a month or something like that, something not too crazy, would that mean that there are no more spoilers for the community, or would that mean that somebody else just fills that hole? Aztec Device, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 9 months. I appreciate that. Lord, I have to say your new Shanks Rocks Celestial Dragon theory is my favorite theory this year. Is there any ideas you left on the chopping block? You're saying related to that theory? I mean, you're a Yonko tier member, so I figure you probably would have checked a little bit. Maybe anybody who's Yonko tier, either on YouTube or on Patreon, you get access to the Morjcast. I did give additional details about the Shanks Rocks theory on that podcast, so Aztec Device, you should have access to it, so check that out. It was probably I think it must have been the podcast a week ago, maybe last Friday's podcast. I think it was probably last Friday's podcast, so you can check that out, but that's where I left all the additional ideas that didn't make it into the video. MPA Slick, thanks for the 5. Senor Morgan Freeman, loved your takes in the Reverie. Not gonna lie, Nika's was D-writing instead of... Okay, I don't like that use of the... Whatever, you tricked me there. Was D-writing instead of criticizing One Piece flaws and some characters. Much love and good luck. Oh, I forgot. The Reverie was fun. I had a lot of fun at the Reverie. This was the most fun Reverie for me in a minute. I don't know why. I don't know exactly why. I was talking with Brago briefly, like, why was this one so much fun? And it's no knock on previous Reveries, because, like, I thought Jay did a fantastic job. I thought Randy did a fantastic job. I just personally enjoyed this one a little bit more. I think maybe what I enjoyed about this... You know what? I think maybe what I enjoyed about this was... Maybe it was just the section that I happened to drop in on. But I think that Recon made a tremendous effort to really... the section that I dropped in on, for the record, was... we were ranking the Straw Hats, basically, right? We were ranking the Straw Hats, so I dropped in on a section that I found interesting in and of itself. You know, there was some stuff that was coming later on, like, oh, Gear 5th in the anime and stuff like that. That's something that, like, I'm not that interested in. Same thing with One Piece trivia. That's not something I'm particularly interested in myself. So for me, like, I was lucky I dropped in on a topic that I really, really liked, and it was a topic that went for a long period of time. And the thing about that, I think that I really liked that Recon made a huge effort to try and... split up the conversation a lot so that everybody's getting like, you don't have to fight for speaking space as much, basically, because he went through the thing with, like, okay, you give your opinion, then you. Then at the end of it, like, who had strong opinions? You had strong opinions. You had strong opinions. You had strong opinions. If you want to say something, then here's a second chance to speak, etc. Yeah, I think the times that I don't, at this point, like, I've done the Reverie so many times. I don't mind, you know, like, the chaos of it or whatever, basically. But I only have the energy to do that and, like, yell over people for so long to, like, when I'm like, okay, I really want to push my points. Okay, I care about this topic, I'm passionate about this, I'll really push my points, I'll yell over people and, like, make sure I'm heard, etc. But I only have the energy to do that so long, usually, for Reverie. Then I get bored, especially once the topic moves to something I don't really care about. This one, I think I happened to drop in on a topic that was really fun, and a topic that just naturally I think naturally I was very interested to hear everybody else's opinions on that, because ranking the strides is an interesting idea. Everybody has such varying opinions. In my mind, I was like, oh, Usopp. I thought everybody would think Usopp's one of the best written strides, but a lot of people didn't like Usopp that much. Vice versa for some of the other strides, right? So, ooh, is that me? No. Shit. It sounded like it was me. Alright. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. Maybe it was just the topic, by virtue of the topic that I happened to be on. Maybe the fact that the topic ran for such a long time. I don't know, but I had a lot of fun this Reverie. I'm very happy I did it. Oh, let's get the stream likes to 200. MacLord, thanks for the 5. Hi, first comment. It's not even your first comment this stream, but that's nice. We're at a weird point, but in the story where the villains, Blackbeard and Akainu, need to prove they can fight Luffy and not the other way. That is actually true. It's not like like, we just did a top 30 list recently, and a lot of people were like, Luffy versus Akainu, like, where do you place Luffy, where do you place Akainu, where do you place Luffy, where do you place Akainu? I was between those two, right? It feels like Akainu should still be stronger than Luffy, but we kind of need Akainu to prove that, right now. Because at the moment, we've got Luffy still, he's got gear 5th, he's got his legendary fruit, he's, like, there's nothing you can really knock Luffy for at this point, because he's got one of the best devil fruits, period, right? It's kind of just limited by how broken Oda wants to make it in the moment, I suppose. And then on top of that, he's got no holes in his Haki, right? He's got advanced armament, he's got advanced observation, he's got future sight, and he's got advanced Conqueror's Haki, right? The only thing you can really say is that, well, Luffy could keep improving his advanced Conqueror's Haki and get it to where Shanks is, or Prime Garp, Roger, and stuff like that. But that's all you can really say about Luffy at the moment. With Akainu, it's kind of like, well, he's got his Magma Fruit, and he's clearly good at Haki, but is he, advanced Conqueror's Haki and stuff? Like, where are we at? CBMX, thanks for the 5. Sorry about your car, Morj. Hope it gets resolved, man. Thanks, me too. On a happier note, the Volume 106 promo video was really good. Makes me excited to return to Egghead. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Oh, who we got in here? We got Brago, Parvision. So I haven't been looking at chat too much. OP-Tuber beef? Where's the beef? What did I even say? I think I was very nice. I said Recon was a great host. What did I say? Parvision saying he got his car jacked earlier today and started late because the cops were at his place. Yeah. There's a story, Brago. You could rewind earlier in the oh, the most fucked up part? Here's what they told me. Okay? And here's what I was told, which is that Hyundais and Kias are getting stolen more frequently nowadays because some TikTok video went viral about how you can, like, hijack Hyundais and Kias with a USB. I don't know what to believe about that, but that is what a police officer straight up told me. It doesn't make any sense to me, but like, what? The police are why you're police? Why are you telling me about a fucking TikTok video that apparently made my car easier to steal? What the fuck? My car is the only car that has ever been reported stolen from my apartment complex, which is also fucked up. Uninspired, thanks to the 5. What level of significance do you think Chopper's Devil Fruit will play in the future? I don't think that it will play. I don't think that that's going to play any level of significance, personally. I drive a Hyundai. Hyundais and Kias are apparently being stolen easier because of USBs. I don't know. It's like, why is that a thing? Pat Galley, thanks for the 5. I find it funny how I grew up with Morj and Brago. You grew up with it? How you're making us sound like we're fucking 20 like we've been doing this for 20 years or some shit. Don't say that. You didn't grow up watching us. We're not like, what the fuck? We're not like in our 50s or some shit, like some old time YouTube celebrities or something like that like formed your childhood. No. What the fuck? Started watching y'all when I first started college. Now I'm a full-time engineer still watching. Holy shit. That is... you made me really sad hearing that. Thanks. What the fuck? That, you know how old that makes us sound? We've just been doing this for that long? Holy shit. I appreciate it though, I guess. Stride Chaco, thanks for being a member for 9 months. Cop is actually right, lol. Look up Kia, boys. But I'm a Hyundai. Why do I gotta get why do I gotta get, what do you call, why do I gotta get, the crossfire from some Kia shit? What is that? Caleb Keller, thanks for the 5. I'm a little late. You think next chapter is the Egghead incident? And what do you think about Egghead being a past that's being narrated? I'm a little late. Do you think next chapter is the Egghead incident? Next chapter is the Egghead incident? You're saying, are we going back to Egghead next chapter? I can't say anything about that because I'm pretty sure... I didn't see the full spoilers. I saw the stuff that comes, like, hints about what's gonna... the spoilers are gonna be about. You know what I mean? The teasers to the spoilers. So I'm not gonna say anything. But either way, I don't think that the next chapter is the entire Egghead incident. What do you think about Egghead being a past that's being narrated? I don't think Egghead's in the past. I think it's current. Shamble GGST, thanks for the 20. Chances on a crewmate dying by the end of the series. If so, who's most likely? That's a great question. I always say Usopp. I think his story would work best with him dying. I think that if he dies, that it completes his character arc in a really powerful way and can provide some really strong dramatic impact for the end of the story. But at the same time, I just don't... I'm no longer at a point where I think Oda would commit to killing off a Straw Hat, you know? So Usopp dying is sketchy, but if a Straw Hat had to die, then Usopp would be the most fitting because it works in the sense that it gives you the tragedy you want, but at the same time, it's not the saddest thing in the world because Usopp likely gets to fulfill his dream in the process of going out in that manner. Braga says, I'm 8 years in Wednesday, so it might be legit. Damn. Oh, you know the actual date you started? Wednesday. Alright. Everyone, Braga's YouTube birthday is Wednesday, so, you know. Actually wish him a happy birthday then. Power Vision says, remote start cars are a major liability. Mine isn't remote, though. So I tried to explain that to him. Mine's a key turn. But he's just like, well, if it's got a USB or something. I don't know if he's accurate on that, but this is what he told me. Hyundais and Kias are currently a target for whatever reason. Oh, god damn it. People okay with Usopp dying? Sir, Usopp won't die? I don't know if Usopp's gonna die. I'm just saying if somebody's gotta go. Reflexy, thank you. Was mad because my alarm was set 2 a.m. for stream, but saw your car is stolen. Don't panic about it and keep us updated, man. I mean, yeah, next time you guys will hear it'll be Thursday. Hopefully I've got my car back by then, but I don't know. Yeah, we'll just see. I mean, there's nothing to be done. So it's not like a panic or don't panic thing. In my mind, it's just like, it's gone. Maybe it comes back, but right now it's gone. Currently gone. I guess no Usopp and Nami stuff in this super. Usopp and Nami stuff in this super. Yeah. MPA Slick, thanks for the 5. Senor Morj and Freeman, didn't mean to trick you, my... Okay. But in all seriousness, I wish you the best with your whip. Thanks, man. Shout out Recon and everyone else in the Reverie. Yeah, shouts to Recon. Let's also shout outs to Recon. Princess Taco, thanks for the 5. You'll be forgiven this time. Thanks. Here's some money. Thank you. Love the L takes. I'm tired of saying thank you to all this. This seems very insulting. By the way, sucks it was stolen on your birthday. Happy birthday, Morj. Thanks. How'd you guys like the Reverie? Did everyone enjoy the Reverie? Firebird 4554 says when's next chapter coming out? It should be out in like the next few days, right? Remix King says, Morj, can you see my membership chats? Did you put some out just a second ago? I see Straw Hat Shaco. I don't see a membership chat right now. from you. Noah Phillips, thanks for the 5. Someone broke into my Kia about a year ago and broke a window, but probably couldn't hotwire it because my USB port doesn't work. LMAO. God damn it. If only I'd broken my USB port. Yeah, least chaotic Reverie in a good way. I agree. I think the Reveries can be really fun when they get chaotic, but this one got chaotic as well in spots. It's just that it was also reined in very well, I think. So, yeah, I thought Recon did a really good job. I do wonder who's going to... I wonder who wants to host next. Because, RIPD, I think I lost my membership chat then, says Remix King. Are you still a member? If you're still a member, you'll still have membership chat, so I don't really know what to say. You're still a mod. You're still a mod. More discussion on current events, says Lurth 3000. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, maybe we didn't talk about Egghead that much. Maybe. Kind of forget. No, I don't want to host anymore. I'm done hosting. Not that it wasn't fun to host. It's just that I feel like I think the last time I did it, it went for 11 hours. 10-ish, 11 hours or something like that. Maybe 11. And I just don't want to do that again. You know, just don't want to do that again. But the problem is that now there's so many people involved that it's difficult to do it for, you know, if you set like a 3-hour, 4-hour, if you set like a 5-hour window or something, it's tricky to get everybody in there. That's how, yeah, like if I'm thinking to everybody that showed up this last Saturday, there probably isn't like a single 5-hour window you could have given that would have gotten the majority people in there, you know? Ramen Stains, thanks for the 2. Was the cop suggesting your USB address was hacked? No. Sean Easton, thanks for the 5. Have you seen The Sound of Freedom yet? It's really good. No, I've never heard of that. Worth watching. Also, Wano vid when. Hope you find your car. I'm looking up Sound of Freedom. Wano vid, it's still on its way. There's no update on it. This is a kidnapping movie. Would I ever do a spoiler stream? I wouldn't do a spoiler stream personally. Remix King, thanks for the 2. Will you ever do the manga debate stream like you promise? Like I promised? What manga debate? We did a vote for best manga of all time. Drake Salinas says, my friend's Hyundai Elantra got stolen. They got it back the next day. In theory, if it's not found in like the next 48 hours or something, it'll be very difficult to find it or something like that. We'll see. Also, if I get it back, that would be very nice. But then the bigger question is, do I get it back in one piece? Haha. Or do I get it back like missing shit? The good news is, the one piece of good news is that there's nothing in there that's important. I think the Remix King says, I think the Wano videos inside his car, guys, got stolen too. Tala is asking expectations for non-Monster Trio strats this arc low. I mean, that was a topic in the Reverie of like, what's Frankie gonna do? You know, what's Frankie gonna do? Is he gonna be important? I would love for Frankie to have significance, but I just don't see that much. I don't think it's super necessary for... I don't think anything's really been set up for any of the non-Monster Trio Straw Hats storyline-wise here. None of them are going through any character thing or, like, any sort of interesting thread has been picked up for them. They're all kind of just tourists right now, you know? Straw Hat Chocolate says, most of stolen Kias are found wrecked. They take them on joyrides. Hurrying Lyrics 44 says, no offense, Morj, but I don't like Honda drivers. They're the worst. I'm a Hyundai. Hyundai. It's different. Julia Criswell, thanks. Current top 5 movies of all time. Love you, Morj. Oh, like top 5 favorite movies of all time? That's a fun question. Because I haven't thought about that in a minute. My top 5 favorite movies are probably, I like 8.5. 2001: A Space Odyssey is probably my favorite. 8.5. Rashomon. Then it gets very difficult. 8.5, Rashomon. I want to say La Dolce Vita, but like it's by the same guy as 8.5. So the appeal of both movies is very similar. So I almost want to say something different for variety, but at the same time, it's like, but I also just really like that movie. Yeah, I'll keep it. And then probably then it's tricky. I'd say maybe Mulholland Drive. Mulholland Drive or City of God or 5 is hard. Or Synecdoche, New York. I think 5's too hard. I don't know what rounds out my top 5. Definite top 4. That doesn't change. And then 5 switches around a little bit. There was a point when I was like doing movie Morj and stuff that I was like, I had a clear idea of my top 10 and everything like that. But now it's been a bit. So now it's kind of like, well, my opinions have shifted probably a little bit. Keenan, thanks for the 10. Crossguild is setting up for Buggy to be a real captain. At some point, Buggy will give Mihawk and Crocodile an order, and they will obey it / call him captain. It'll be cheeky, but I think it's going to happen. I don't know about that, man. That would be pretty hilarious if Buggy got that far that, like, Mihawk and Crocodile are unironically referring to him as captain. But it would be, I think it would be a really, really fun moment. I still think that before we get there, I think Mihawk needs some good moments post-time skip, or just period in the series. I think the next time we see Crossguild, I think Mihawk, ideally Mihawk and Crocodile, but really mainly Mihawk needs to show out in some way, because it's been too long, man. It's been too long. We need him to do something. Just do something. Do something, please. L, thanks for being a member for 5 months. Strats need better writing. Brook, Usopp, Frankie. I mean, to me, it's a case of basically like recency. I think, yeah, I think ones that are I was very surprised. This is one thing I was very surprised by throughout the Reverie, which is like people maintaining that Brook is really well written and like one of the top best written Strats. It's like he's really very little more. He's probably the most two-dimensional Straw Hat. Probably the most two-dimensional Straw Hat, period. Just because he's not given that much. And, like, the things that people cite from Whole Cake Island, they're cool moments, but they're not really, like, there's not a lot of character writing there, you know? You can hand a lot of, like, Brook breaking the photo, that's a cool moment that he did, but you could hand that to any Straw Hat, and I'm not going to be like, oh, that was a great character moment for him, you know? Like, Robin having her Demonia moment, that's a great character moment because there's actual, you know, there's actual storytelling that goes into what, like, that being the payoff to a lot of what she struggled with before, what she's come to realize now, and her new motivations, and this basically being the culmination of all that, right? Brook doesn't have anything like that. It just doesn't exist for him. There's no writing like that for him, period, at any point in One Piece, really after Thriller Bark. Like, he can get some cool and even funny moments, but it's not the same thing. So I really think that Brook needs a lot. Usopp gets a lot of that shit. It's just been a minute because it's last we saw it was in Dressrosa. So I don't think Usopp, like Usopp in general, has the most significant character writing across the series for any Straw Hats. So I'm never going to be like Usopp really needs some character stuff. I think where we left off with him in Wano was in such a bad place because he was probably the Straw Hat that looked the worst in Wano specifically. Because Brook at least didn't do anything, but Usopp did stuff, but was such a bitch during it that and like the philosophy that he was spewing was so irritating that it really was a negative for him, I think, more than anything. And Frankie definitely needs some stuff. Egghead Island would be great for Frankie in theory, like people like Hidden Island have been saying, but right now I just don't know. Tala, thanks for the 7. To be honest, like or dislike Zoro and Sanji, they're the only two Straws guaranteed to do at least something important every arc they're in. Pre-time skip, everyone had that though. I don't think Sanji's really... Well, it depends on what you mean by important. They're the two strongest aside from Luffy, so they're always just going to be... they're always going to be viable. You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be some arcs where Chopper's just not going to be able to have an impact in any sort of a way, right? Or Usopp's just not going to be able to have an impact. But even in Dressrosa, which Sanji's only in for a bit, you know, you need somebody to go stop Doflamingo for a bit. I think that's a cool scene. Yeah, you have Sanji do it, you know? I get what you mean. They'll always have something to do because they're strong. So I would agree with that. Pre-time skip, everyone had that though. I would agree with that as well. And I do think that part of that is, I'm trying to figure out, is it diminishing returns in terms of like adding more and more Straw Hats means that it's just harder to give everybody something to do? Or is it a result of just having so many characters and side characters every arc? Egghead Island should give us a good answer to that question because there's so few other... Like in Egghead Island, all we've got is Bonnie and the Vegapunks, right? So in theory, each of the Straw Hats, there should be plenty of time to focus on them. But it's also shaping up to be a really light arc, honestly, in terms of focus on the Straw Hats. So I don't really know. Ray Chia, thanks for the 5. Hey, Morph and Morj, rereading One Piece, just got to Bon Clay sacrificing himself at the end of Himbo Down. Do you think Oda will ever bring them back? I think Oda will bring Bon Clay back. Bon Clay's too lovable of a character, and Oda kept him alive to not show up again at some point, you know? Wrench Dodger 2000 says Brook has also grown up, though. He doesn't really need much development, neither does Jinbei or even Frankie. They're all adults that were already full people when we met them. It's cool, but not necessary. I wouldn't go by age. I would go by... I see the logic of what you're saying, and I would agree with Brook and Frankie. I wouldn't go by age, because with Frankie, it's like, yeah, he's an adult, but I still feel like for him, where he left off in his story as, you know, Cuddy Flam, where he left off with Tom, the responsibility, etc., that he inherited, I still think that Frankie's very much in the journey of becoming who he needs to become, still, along with the rest of the Straw Hats. I think Jinbei and Brook are more, I would agree, they're more complete Straw Hat figures at this point, like complete characters at this point. However, even then, I still feel like Brook gets more character writing in terms of just us, like meaningful dialogue and meaningful character moments, if that makes sense. Whereas Brook, I feel like the majority of it is really just skull jokes or panty jokes, which to me are just not funny at this point anymore. I would love to see more of what Brook actually feels and thinks. My favorite post-time skip moment for Brook, it's not like it's not anything he did, you know, with Big Mom or the Mother Carmel photo. My favorite post-time skip moment for Brook is after Pedro dies, and then we actually get some real, like, genuinely affected emotion out of Brook during the scene after Pedro dies, where Brook's like, he's actually angry at Jinbei. He's like, it's easy for you to say we should just keep moving on. You didn't have a connection with Pedro, blah, blah, blah. That's a really, really good scene for Brook, because for me, in that moment, Brook finally stops feeling like this quirky, cartoony skeleton character that they threw on the ship because, you know, it's so vibrant and zany, right? He felt like a real fucking person that had been moved and affected in some way by the current events, and he's got something to say about that. And I want to see more of that, more feeling like Brook's a real person, you know? Not just giving him, like, you know, like having him say yo ho ho and break the Mother Carmel photo. That's nice. That's giving him shit to do. But I'm saying, like, I want to feel like he's a real character, you know? How does he feel? How does he think? Stuff like that, right? If you go back and reread that scene, I think you'll understand what I'm talking about. Noah Phillips, thanks for the 2. Caleb Brown, thanks to the 5. I think Mihawk will realize that Buggy has the one thing he doesn't, ability to lead. Mihawk will recognize Buggy as true captain, and Crocodile will be mad. I think that'd be really cool. But I feel like Mihawk and Crocodile, I feel like it would be really good if they both sync up in realizing that in some sense. But yeah, I talked about this in that video on Cross Guild, which is that they all have some aspect of... So in One Piece, like, leadership's a complicated thing, right? Because... on the one hand, one thing that consistently most great leaders have in One Piece is that they're very strong. They're the strongest, right? Every captain, even like who's in charge of the Marines, that's decided by a duel. Who's in charge in pretty much every facet, outside of like kings, right, who get it through royalty, like official kings, nobility. Pretty much everything in One Piece, the boss is always the strongest, right? And it's almost looked at as embarrassing when the boss is a weak character, like Spandam, right? That was a huge thing. I think that in that vein, it makes sense that, Mihawk you would automatically think should be the leader of Cross Guild, right? But Mihawk is missing charisma, right? Then you've got the other aspect of leadership, which is strategy and being able to think. And that's Crocodile's forte. That's his expertise. That's how Crocodile ran Baroque Works so successfully for so many years, right? But at the same time, Crocodile's not like a charismatic leader, because if you remember, Baroque Works functioned for so many years so well, largely because no one even knew Crocodile was in charge. Mr. Zero was completely anonymous, right? He wasn't like a leadership figure, like on the face of the organization. No one knew that Crocodile was their boss. Even the numbered agents, Mr. 1, Mr. 2, etc., they didn't know who they were working for, right? Crocodile was best working from the shadows, behind the scenes, blah, blah, blah. Crocodile's never been shown to be a leader in the sense that, like, if he comes out in the spotlight, he can just command people to rally behind him. So you've got Mihawk, who's the strength aspect of being a great leader. You've got Crocodile, who's got the brains and the strategy, right? And then you've got Buggy, who is, he's got neither of those other two things, because Buggy's not that smart. People think Buggy's smart, but he's actually not that smart. If you go back through the series, Buggy's really a bumbling idiot who lucks his way into a lot of things, right? He's opportunistic, but it's also a tremendous amount of luck and bad assumptions that he makes, right? That end up accidentally working out, right? He's not a genius like Crocodile. So Buggy doesn't have the strength, he doesn't have the brains, but he has the face and the charisma. So if you put all three of them together, then you've got the ideal leader. It's just split up into three aspects, which I think is hilarious. So I think it'd be cool if Mihawk is realizing that Buggy has the ability to rally people to his side, if Crocodile realizes that Buggy has that ability as well, and they both just decide to work with it and say, like, hey, at the end of the day, that's the most important aspect of leadership. Noah Phillips, thanks for the 5. Can't develop any of the Straw Hats because Oda likes drawing new characters too much. Oof. Yeah, I mean, that's partly got to be true. Because, I mean, he's writing the story for so long. It's just fun to play with new characters, He's already got, I'm sure, in mind, important milestone moments for the Straw Hats down the line that they need to get. But, maybe we don't really see that payoff till it's time for their character storylines to fully culminate with their dreams or endgame stuff, But we're in the endgame, so hopefully it's stuff that comes soon. Talha, thanks for the 7. It goes beyond strength, in my opinion. Any Straw Hat was strong enough to stop Orochi shooting Tama. Oda still had that focus go to Sanji/Zoro for their character. That is true. That's true. I think just anything... Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's true. Scoob18 says, Buggy, just like every other gag, is a gag Oda will not drop because he loves writing off the gags. I mean, I like Buggy's gag evolution over time. I mean, Buggy's moment, his character moment recently is one of my favorite moments in One Piece in recent memory, for sure. Because, it's turning the gag into something much more real and with a lot more, it's not just a joke at the end of the day, right? He's a real person with real desires and motivations. Sleeping Danger, thanks. How confident are you that Elbaf is Usopp's arc? I'm as confident as let's just say I'm extremely confident, right? I'm as confident as the raid failing, but then the raid also didn't fail, so you got to think about that too. So let's just say I'm very, very, very confident in Elbaf being Usopp's arc. But we know the last time how that went. Remix King says, Morj, would you ever do a tier list on your best streams? If I'm bored, yeah, I think that'd be fun almost. The problem is that I don't, like, a lot of the streams are just like random chapter discussions, right? So if I look back at previous streams, if I go to, all my streams are split between a few things. They're split between either Morj streams or the Morj streams channel or the main Morj channel. Morj streams died once I realized I could just stream live on YouTube and on the main channel, and it doesn't affect the algorithm anymore. The tricky thing is that there's a lot of streams that have, in my opinion, some really great bits in them, you know, segments, but I'm not going to remember that just looking at the stream. Whereas if I look at like an AI Writes One Piece, I think that was a really, really fucking funny stream from start to finish. But maybe, I don't know. I don't know which stream had the highest peaks in terms of entertainment, because a lot of it blends together. Tier list or tier lists? Not a person says tier list or tier lists. A lot of the tier lists were so far back, I just don't remember. I think you guys would have to really vote, but then there's going to be a strong recency bias, you know what I mean? Remixing says it would have to be your variety streams, lol. Yeah. I mean, there's some chapter discussions that have really funny segments, though. Andrew Anami says we need a Morj thumbnails tier lists. Yeah, my thumbnail, because thumbnails nowadays, I think there's some that are really good, because it depends how much time the artist gets, how clear of a vision he has, how clear of a vision we have when we give it. Drunk Morj was a great stream, says Wade Turner. Yeah, it's been a while since we've done Drunk Morj. The reason being that usually I just don't drink on weekdays, and I stream on weekdays. That's just the way it goes. When I came back to the Reverie, so Saturday at the Reverie I left. When I came back, I had opened a beer at that point, and I was pretty much checked out. So I came back just for a little bit, just to say bye and everything like that, because I said I'd be back. But I was like, I had thought earlier in the day that if I saw other people drinking on the Reverie stream, like Virgo showed up and he had something to drink, so I was like, if other people have something to drink, then maybe I could drink too. But not enough people. I think it was just Virgo, and I think even he wasn't drinking, so I was just like, I'll just leave it alone. Damone Nickerson says, Oof stream is still my favorite. Sorry about your cart. Thanks, appreciate it. Yeah, Oof stream. The Oof stream, I think the Oof moment is still maybe the most iconic. I guess amongst, as the Morj streams go, right? As streams go on this channel, I think the Oof stream, I don't, why did the Oof moment stand out so much? It's so far back. I swear a lot of funny shit has happened since then. I just don't know why the Oof moment has never got away. I think maybe because that's the moment that people really, really understood that I'm not well equipped to run these streams. I think that's the moment that it was pretty much definitely understood. Dre hit him up, says, Morj, any thoughts on Summer League? My opinion, Summer League shouldn't exist, or it shouldn't be televised or something like that. I think it absolutely ruins so much of the fun of the NBA that there's just like a warm-up league happening. Because like, so I went back to look at like I've gone back to look at like LeBron's first like his NBA debut, the moment that everyone was waiting for, right? And he did really well. He had like 20-something points, a bunch of rebounds, a bunch of assists. And it was like, holy shit, this is an iconic moment because everyone was waiting to see what LeBron could do. He showed up. He performed to expectations or surpassed expectations. I was like, damn, that's crazy. But then I remembered that, like, wait, this wasn't the first time people got to see LeBron play against NBA players. It was the fucking Summer League. So then I went to go back and it was like, oh yeah, look at that. LeBron had a Summer League game that was also really hyped up. And that wasn't as notable because, you know, he's still getting in shape and stuff like that. And he didn't do as well. So it's kind of like the Summer League, it just ruined so many things. Like the first time Ben Simmons hit a 3, it was during a Summer League game. And it was like, that's kind of exciting. Like it it broke that, you know, we finally got to see it or whatever. But at the same time, it's not a real NBA game. It's just, I personally think Summer League shouldn't exist. Like, it should exist for the players, but somehow it should just not be televised because it just ruins. Anytime some iconic first happens and it's Summer League, it's just stupid. It just takes away from it being, like imagine if we got to see Wembanyama play for the first time in the actual NBA instead of the Summer League stuff, you know? Stride Chaco, thanks for the 2. The whole chat turned on you in the oof stream, lol. Yeah, that was funny. Damone Nickerson, thanks for the 5. You felt really bad about it at first and tried hard to fix it and then decided he deserved it when you couldn't figure it out. Yeah, you know what? I think the oof stream is iconic or memorable just because it really set the tone of what these streams are in general. Ramen Stains, thanks for the 5. Streams are tough to rank because of how varied just one stream is. Yeah. Maybe just Morj Unleashed vids because it's basically just stream segments. Yeah, that's true. They get the best segments, pretty much. Kirby and Hales Jotaro, thanks for the 5. Hello, Monsieur Lemorge. How would you feel if the live action had dramatic irony where it reveals the gum fruit is Nika in episode 1, but Luffy didn't know? I don't think it should do that. I think the story's better off with us believing that Luffy is just... I think it's better off if we slowly learn the important aspects of who Luffy is, like the D tribe, his father being dragon, the Joy Boy legacy, etc. Dawn of the World. I think it's just better if we slowly learn it, personally. Maybe I'm just saying that because that's the way we've gotten it, and I prefer to keep it that way, but I just think that works a little better. Let's get the stream likes to 300 real quick. Flip says, what do you think about the in-season tourney? That's one of those that my instinct is to say it's dumb. But then at the same time, I'm like, well, I also thought that the play-in games were dumb. And now I love that the play-in exists. So I gotta wait and see. Oh, some people don't know the oof stream. I can explain the oof stream really quick. Somebody already explained it basically in a super chat, but I think I still have screenshots of it when it happened. Let me try. Does anyone remember what stream was the oof stream? I feel like I want to say it was a tier list stream so that people can go back and check it out. I want to say that it was some sort of I want to say it was a tier list stream. I feel like it went on the main Morj channel, unless I'm crazy. No, it was on Morj streams, I guess. Let me see if it was on Morj streams. The oof stream, the story of what happened to oof depends on who you ask. I feel like I might not be the best person to explain it because I would explain it from my perspective, which would be heavily biased. Oh yeah, it's One Piece best villains tier list. Yeah, it's the One Piece best villains tier list. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this was it. I'm trying to find a single timestamp for it, but it's too hard. There's an Unleashed segment. Oh, is there an Unleashed segment for it? I forget what all Unleashed segments there are now. The day Morj ruined a viewer's life. Yeah. The day...
Participants?
Yeah, the day Morj ruined a viewer's life. That was basically it. I could react to that video right now. Andrew Noel says, ooh, when Morj got rid of oof as a joke but actually killed him. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. People are asking about the Wano analysis. I will. All I gotta say is that the Reverie did give me more motivation to do the Wano analysis. I don't know why, but I think talking through the Reverie, like people were just reflecting, like, oh yeah. I don't think a single positive thing about Wano was said, at least during the point that I was in the Reverie, except I think, we talked about, we like Robin's moment, but we definitely also said, like, everything I remember was basically like, yeah, Usopp and Wano, Brook and Wano, I don't remember anything being positive said about Wano. I think we like Robin's moment. I still like Sanji's moment in Wano, Robin's moment in Wano. But I think the Reverie definitely made me want to finish the Wano video. Umer Ula, thanks. Favorite One Piece attack? Mine is Shishi Sanson. Favorite One Piece attack? Favorite One Piece attack? That's a tough one. Okay, you know what? It's tricky because it's like, I would say Jet Gatling, in its initial use, is my favorite One Piece fight scene ever, right? But Jet Gatling, from then on, it's just Jet Gatling. It's not a big deal. But the initial time that we got Jet Gatling was really, really emotionally powerful. So it depends what you mean by that. Like, the main scene in which a move is first used, or like just an attack in general. Like Shishi Sanson is badass every time it comes out. Jet Gatling, it's not. So let me think. It's not even called Jet Gatling anymore. It's called like Hawk Gatling. This is a random point, but I don't care for Luffy's I thought I'd get used to it. I still haven't. Luffy's new naming of his attacks all being like animal stuff, new as in like post time skip, like Elephant Gun, Hawk Gatling. I'm like, no, I don't like. I like Jet Gatling. I just prefer that. Flips of Sanji's party table kicking thing. That's actually really cool. Divine Departure is cool. I think Divine Departure is pretty cool. I don't know. What's the coolest One Piece move? I don't know. I really don't know. I think Sanji's got some really cool looking moves. I like Ashura quite a bit, but Ashura's more of a form. Yeah, Shishi Sanson's always a classic. I don't know. I think one thing about Ashura, I guess, that I don't like, I suppose, is that I think I think Ashura is a really, really cool form. I think a lot of the moves look visually similar to me because Oda's drawing 9 swords. So usually when it's 3 swords, you get a more clear, like there's a more clear stance that the character can take. Like, I think with Ashura, a lot of it feels like it just ends with all of the swords spread out in some way. Either it's like a vertical circle or a horizontal circle or something. Like, I don't see a lot of differences in terms of Ashura moves, if that makes sense. Scooby18 says, overall, did you like Wano? I like Wano better now than I did initially when it ended, but I wouldn't say overall I like it. Masandra Slat says, Morj must be ignoring Manga Morj chats. When there's so much mentally for me to juggle in terms of like Wano video plus keeping Manga Morj up and stuff like that, I feel like any answer I give right now is unfair to you guys because it's like, well, I should feel more certain exactly about like what the next step or next like unless I have a next step or next release date like clearly thought out like that I can actually do. I feel like it's not fair to keep saying well, this should be out like next month or something if I no longer feel like that's realistic. So that's all I got to say on that. I don't have any villain attacks in my top One Piece attacks just because they're the bad guys. So I, like, not as a joke, I I prefer protagonist attacks in general. Like Luffy, Zoro, Sanji attacks, those are my favorites. I don't care about the bad guys' attacks. They're there to lose, you know? Like, I'm never going to be like, oh, Doflamingo's moves are my favorite. Oh, certainly no law attacks included. Sanzen Sekai. I don't like that one that much. I don't know why. I think because the first time we see it is Zoro losing to Mihawk. So I'm just like, well, that's the movie you used to lose. Rokugan is cool. Rokugan is cool, no matter how you spin it. Divine Departure Shanks. Yeah, I think honestly, maybe it's Galaxy Impact. We just saw Galaxy Impact. I think Galaxy Impact looks really cool. I think Akainu's attacks are cool. Oof. Not the real oof. I banned the real oof. Says Morj doesn't hate villains' moves, he hates losers' moves. That's true. Yeah. 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 Why would I look at the losers' moves and be like, well, that's my favorite? You look at the winners and be like, that's my favorite. The Galaxy Punch. You know what I mean. Flip says Kizaru kicking people equals peak fiction. That's funny. Sleeping Danger says, where's the Red Hawk love? Okay, this is going to be a controversial pick or take, but first of all, maybe people who saw it in the anime first like Red Hawk better than me, but I don't like Red Hawk. The reason being, or at least when it initially came out, I didn't care for Red Hawk. The reason being, I was like, Luffy's trained for 2 years. I want to, like, it was just the way I thought about it initially when it came out. And I was young, so don't put too much stock into it. But that's just, you know, your initial impression shapes how you think. So when Luffy first came out with Red Hawk, I didn't like it because in my mind, I was like, Luffy's trained for 2 years. He's trained for 2 years. I want him to come out with, in my head, I was like, I really want him to be stronger than Ace now. That's what I wanted. So when he comes out and it's like one of his signature moves is an Ace ripoff, for the record, it's an Ace tribute, homage, whatever, right? But in my younger brain, when I was in high school, I was like, oh, he's just like, he trained 2 years just to copy Ace's Fire Fist move? That's lame. That was what I thought literally when I was younger. I was like, he trained 2 years so that his new signature move is just trying to copy Ace. That was what I was thinking. I was like, this is lame. If I want to see Fire Fist, I can go look at Ace do the OG better version. Why'd I wait 2 years why'd I wait for Luffy to train for 2 years to be worse at something than Ace? That was literally that was just my thought process at the time. So I didn't think Red Hawk was cool. I just didn't. Now I think it's cool because Luffy's done it so, like, you know, now I'm used to it. And Luffy does so much other stuff. But at the time, I was just like, oh my god, he can't even do Ace's shit right. Name Jeff, thank you. How come nobody ever mentions how Odin's dad can read poneoglyphs and Robin isn't the only one anymore? Hold on. 1 second. I need some clarification. Roger had voice of all things, right? Wasn't No, because Odin can write. He wrote on the poneglyphs, right? Or he didn't write on the poneglyphs. He wrote on the Bell and Skypiea. But Odin can also... Sorry, Roger can also... He also has the voice of all things, right? So even if Odin did or didn't exist, Roger would be able to read the poneglyphs, correct? Zero says, like, when Naruto trained for 2 years and came back with a bigger Rasengan. The Naruto time skip, I think that was a big thing that turned me off from the series. Because I think I've told you guys this before, but I watched Naruto initially, part 1. Then I started Shippuden, and I really didn't like the. I think I didn't get all the. I watched the episodes a little bit out of order at first or whatever, but I just didn't really care for the fact that like the hero had trained for years, and it felt like he had made the least progress out of everyone. Like it felt like Sasuke was over there who you just turned into like this absolutely broken monster by the time, like, over the course of the 2 years. It just, I really didn't like the feeling that we had a time skip that felt, to me, meaningless for the main character. And that was when I was younger, for me, a lot of stuff came into, like, I heavily prioritized, how strong characters were becoming, techniques, blah, 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 blah. So, like, for me, like, Naruto coming back with a stronger Rasengan, it did feel really lame for me. Like, the flip side is when Naruto trained with the frogs and shit, and then came back to kick Pain's ass. That's what I really, that when the hero goes off to train, when you take a break, that's what you kind of want to see when they come back, in my opinion. The Outback Panda says, Roger literally sought Odin because he couldn't read the poneglyphs. That's... Sorry. Memory was hazy for that part. But I don't get it, because then why is it that Roger... Why is it important that Roger... I swear that it was established at some point that Roger could hear the poneglyph, or like he could understand the poneglyphs thanks to the voice of all things or something. Wasn't that kind of explained? Or it was something like didn't really explain something like, in Saboti, they were like, well, how are you able to read the poneglyphs? And really it was like, well, we weren't scholars, but Roger was able to hear it or something like that. So is that a retcon, or did Oda come up with the Odin concept later? What do you think happened there? Mechlor says Roger needed Odin because he couldn't read them. Yeah, but I'm just confused because I swear we had differing information earlier in the story. Wrench Dodger 2000 says Roger could hear the poneglyphs, but he couldn't read them. Odin could read them. What's the fucking difference? What's the difference? Deadsoon says Roger can feel the general message, but not the exact words. Okay. That makes sense. Reflexy says really vaguely implied that, never confirmed. Okay. I get that. I'm still very curious why the voice of all things is important in that case. You know what I mean? Why is the voice of all things important? Because initially I thought the voice of all things was introduced just because Oda needed a way to explain why Roger was able to read the poneglyphs. Because at that point in time, Odin was not an established character, right? So it was kind of just like, at that point in time, we were told that there's one and only one person in existence that could read the poneglyphs, Robin. That's why it's important to have Robin. Roger, it sounded like, didn't have anybody, which is why Oda explained this thing like, well, he could hear the poneglyphs. So it's like, okay, and then later on we find out about the concept of the voice of all things. Cool. So, having the voice of all things, it seemed to me initially like, okay, it's important because it's tied to the poneglyphs. Cool. Now it's like, okay, well, neither Luffy nor Roger needed it for the poneglyphs because Roger had Odin and Luffy is Robin. So you can cross off the voice of all things for that. Then you could say, well, what about the Sea Kings, right? But why is it important that Luffy can hear the Sea Kings, and why is it important that Roger can hear the Sea Kings? Isn't it only important that Shirahoshi can communicate with the Sea Kings? In which case it's not the voice of all things, that's just her natural ability as Poseidon, Like, I feel like there's no need for Luffy to be able to hear the Sea Kings, as far as I can understand, or for Roger to be able to hear the Sea Kings. Wouldn't it only matter if Shirahoshi can? In which case, why the voice of all things, right? Because Oda could just say, well, Shirahoshi can understand the Sea Kings because she's Poseidon, right? So then the next use of voice of all things isn't that, I guess, Zunisha? But then even then, it's kind of like, why is it important that, don't we really just only need Momonosuke to be able to communicate to Zunisha? Like, Momonosuke is the only one that can actually tell Zunisha what to do. Why is it important that Luffy can hear Zunisha as well? You get what I'm saying? So I'm like, Momonosuke needs to be able to communicate to Zunisha. Shirahoshi needs to be able to communicate to Poseidon. It doesn't feel like Luffy or Roger need to be able to communicate to any of these other things. So in that case, why write in the voice of all things? Why not just say, well, Momonosuke needs to talk to Zunisha, and Momonosuke can, because of whatever innate... We still don't know the secret behind that, right? But it's clearly not the same thing as Luffy, because Momonosuke can actually give orders and talk to Zunisha. Luffy can't, right? So it's not the same as whatever Luffy's doing. Sure, Hoshi, she can talk to the Sea Kings because she's Poseidon. So again, like, you guys get what I'm saying? Like, why the voice of all things, right? Name Jeff says, I meant Odin's dad, not Odin, lol. Andrew Noel says, maybe there's some missing context we have yet to find out. I would assume that's the case. Because, remember, there was a period of time that we just didn't know what... We didn't know what Conqueror's Haki, what the real purpose of it was. Because with Conqueror's Haki, it was like... Well, it knocks out... For the longest time, right? Till, like, chapter 1010. For 1000 till chapter 1010. You know, Conqueror's Haki first shown in chapter 1. Not till 1010 did we really realize what it's good for, which is basically just like the strongest offensive ability, right? But until then, it was kind of just the flashy, like, all show no substance type of Haki to have, because it basically had no purpose other than knocking out fodder. So I wonder if, and that was I remember for some people that was even a criticism of Conqueror's Haki, because it was just like, why write this when it doesn't do anything, you know? But knock out fodder. But you know, then we found out a better use. Kinrob's Cove, thank you for the 10. Your take: Void Century was a near extinction event. Emu left with the kings, intending to erase all other survivors. Emu used King's lineage factor plus sea essence to create humans. Okay, hold on. Let me reread this. Void Century was a near extinction event. Okay. Emu left with kings, intending to erase all other survivors. Emu used the king's lineage factor plus sea essence to... Oh, you think humans were created then? D-Clan are hidden survivors. Oh, from the OG era. So you think humans were born from the Void Century? That would be insane. You know what's interesting? People talk a lot about, like, the Void Century, that period of time that in One Piece that we don't know. Oh, there's a century where we don't know anything. But what's strange to me is that it's not like there's just one century where humans don't know anything. We've never heard information prior to the Void Century either, right? The only bit of information we ever got was like, oh, Zunisha was from like 1,000 years ago or something like that, right? Void Century, we really don't know anything prior to that 800 years either. So it's like, what if humans originated from there? I don't know. It sounds kind of crazy, but maybe that's possible. Okay, guys, it has gotten later than I planned to do this. Again, sorry for the late start for the stream. It's just the way it is. But because my schedule for the day basically got completely fucked up, I am going to have to call stream a lot earlier than I thought. Noah, thanks for the 5. Voice of all things, once developed, could let Luffy communicate with large groups of people, maybe, like he did with Momo, but on a larger scale. Oh, that's a really interesting... I like that a lot. That's a really, really interesting idea. If it's, like, the voice of all things, like, Luffy can use it actively in a way. Shinkai, that would be amazing, because that would do a lot to unite the world, you know? Shinkai 9, thanks for the 10. Do you think live-action Luffy should get Haki earlier if we get Alabasta for Season 2? Oda felt Croc was too early for Luffy, I think, so it makes sense for Luffy to be stronger live-action. To me, it's one of those things where, like, Oda can just... One, I don't think Oda ever actually said that Crocodile was too early for Luffy. I think that's one of those, like, rumored things that people just make up. But I don't think Oda ever actually said that about Crocodile. I don't think Luffy, like, the thing is that Crocodile, he can be as strong as you write him to be, basically, right? I think a big part of why everyone says that Luffy beat Crocodile too early now is because Crocodile in Marineford was shown to be much more capable than he was shown to be in Alabasta, right? So that's more so, to me, a case of Crocodile later on being written in a manner that felt inconsistent with where he was prior. So I don't view that as an Alabasta problem, to be honest. I view that more so as, like, how Crocodile was, like... I view that more so as Oda not addressing the change in strength, or perceived strength, at the very least, in Impel Down or Marineford. Like, Oda could have said anything, like, Crocodile's saying something like, oh, I've got my, like, I'm back in... got my Haki back or some shit. Maybe that's too on the nose, but... You know what I mean? I don't think there was anything wrong with the way that Luffy versus Crocodile went down in Alabasta, because in Alabasta, I felt like the progression sort of made sense, and Luffy getting closer and closer. Yeah, a lot of Crocodile's more crazy shit, like being able to tank hits from Jozu and stuff, that only came up later on, right? So to me, that's like a later on issue that you maybe tone Crocodile down later on or something like that, rather than, you know, like in terms of character strength and stuff, you can just always change that in live action. You know, if Matt Owens feels like, if he feels like Crocodile and like Luffy beating Crocodile and Alabasta was too unrealistic, well, he could tone Crocodile down for Alabasta. You know what I mean? I think Luffy getting Haki in the time skip is important, because I think that's the step to progressing to that, like, actually becoming a contender for top tier pirate. I think it's important Luffy doesn't have that just yet. Because the tricky thing is that, here's the tricky thing. If you give Luffy Haki earlier in the story, then suddenly it means that, like, so many of the fights that he had in the pre-time skip, if Luffy had Haki during those, right? Like just think about it like this. The way it is right now, anytime Luffy's in a really difficult situation or fight, we expect there to be some sort of a Haki bloom, right? Like Luffy against Katakuri, he's unlocking Future Sight. Luffy against Kaido, he's unlocking Advanced Conqueror's Haki. I think Luffy against whoever, maybe Blackbeard or whatever, we expect another Haki bloom, right? It's important for Luffy to have gone through the story without that option of Haki blooms earlier on, because otherwise it speeds up his growth too fast, you know? Like if Luffy was already working on Haki pre-time skip, then suddenly, like, he should probably get a Haki bloom during the Lucci fight. He should probably get several Haki blooms over the course of Impel Down and Marineford, and that's kind of accelerating his growth rate too fast. I think it was important to keep that like little, game-breaking addition to his arsenal out of the picture for a while, because otherwise there's just a constant option for him to rapidly accelerate his strength, you know? Like, think about Luffy's strength at the start of the Onigashima fight to the end of the Onigashima fight. It is a fucking gigantic jump, and most, like, he went to splitting the sky in 10 chapters, and that's because of the Haki bloom, right? So, again, it's not like Luffy would get to that level that fast just because he had a pre-time skip. Like, East Blue Luffy wouldn't suddenly get there or anything, but I'm just saying that once you write that option into fights that your Haki can get stronger, you can get a Haki bloom if you're pushed enough, well, then Luffy would probably, like, it would be hard to explain why Luffy wouldn't constantly get it during so many of these arcs, you know? So I think it was better that Luffy kind of had to do it the hard way first, and then he gets Haki, because then he gets this fast track to rapid growth, you know? Chinuala Bachi says, yeah, but Haki doesn't always bloom in battle. Yeah, but I think so far, almost consistently, anytime Luffy's been pushed enough, he's gotten a Haki bloom post-time skip, right? You could say the Doflamingo fight, well, he didn't get a Haki bloom there yet. Yeah, but at the same time, Luffy, he hadn't even, like, the Doflamingo fight was kind of the first fight that made Luffy use up all of the stuff he'd learned so far. So it's like, okay, against Doflamingo, I'm finally pushed to use Gear 2nd and Gear 3rd, and I'm going to bust out Gear 4th, right? So he hasn't been pushed over the edge yet to use, to like, actually develop something new, like Haki bloom, right? Katakuri fight was the first fight, and Cracker was also mainly evenly matched, right? Katakuri was the first fight that Luffy was like, okay, I'm clearly 2-3 steps behind this dude. I'm going to make it, like, I'm going to keep pushing myself this fight till eventually I get this extra strength that he has and, surpass it, right? Kaido, same thing. So if you put a lot of Luffy's pre-time skip fights in that context, I think it takes away from that, you know? I don't know. Wesley Jackson says, how come Kid and Law don't get Haki blooms? Because they are bums. They are bums. They are not good fighters. That's just not who they are. Certainly not Law. All right, guys. On that note, I think I am going to have to end it. This has gone on longer than I wanted to. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks for the support and the well wishes for the car. But I'm going to have to call it. I'm going to have to call it a stream today. Thanks, everyone. Apologies again that it was shorter, but I hope you guys understand why that had to be. Talk to you all later.